Hello, welcome to Project Review Committee for July 17th, 2024. We're going to go ahead and start today's meeting at 1:33 p.m. My name is Oscar Cepeda. I am the chairperson for Project Review Committee. I'm going to go ahead and do roll call here. Again, myself, Oscar Cepeda, the chairperson for PRC today and also the associate planner. We're joined by Daniel Cervantes, our city engineer. We're also joined by Clayton Dignam, our fire marshal. We're joined by James Wickersham, our chief building official. Robert Alvarez also joins us with the field services department. David Payne also joins us with the water utility superintendent. Joe Baeza also joins us with the field services as a field services street superintendent. And we're also joined by Sarah Torres from the engineering department. I believe that is all from city staff. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open oral communications. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the committee on any matter pertaining to project review.
Well, as a property owner, I'm delighted with this opportunity.
What was your name, sir?
Bill Melvin.
Welcome. Any other comments from our members joining us online? Well, thank you. With that, we're going to go ahead and close oral communications. For today's agenda, we do have one item under Project Review Committee number 2024-024. We have the applicant here, Michael Cheney, proposing a new coffee shop, Starbucks, at 855 North Main Street. The subject site is within the General and Service Commercial Zone District, and it also has a general plan land use of general and service commercial. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen here, identifying the proposed layout of the project. We'll go ahead and start first with our engineering division with Daniel Cervantes.
So some of the general comments that we're going to be making in regards to this development is the circulation onto Henderson Avenue. And I do believe I did speak to the engineer prior to this and letting them know that it's going to be very difficult to do any lefts in or out from Henderson Avenue due to the trail system that's going to be right adjacent to the property there. Because we are adding a hawk system, which is basically like another traffic signal there at the trail on Henderson Avenue. And so it'll just be make it difficult. The other thing would be on Main Street. I know we are still going back and forth in regards to lefts coming out of there at that point.
A left in.
A left in.
Okay.
Or even a left out as well.
Okay.
So I know we're kind of still looking at at the geometry a little bit more, just to see how that would work. But I think as of right now, we're kind of just everything's going to be right in, right out.
Okay.
On both of them.
Yeah, you spoke to Hal Lohr, and he's on the call. He's our engineer, and yeah, we were aware this will be right in, right out only. On the trail, for clarification purposes, is it going to follow the
railroad.
The old railroad down there? And then you said it'll be like a pedestrian crosswalk with the kind of yield lights and sort of thing.
Yes,
that'll be great, and it'll look a lot better than
right
there now.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
And you guys will have that opportunity to, even make a couple of, I think, ADA walkways back to there. So
okay,
that way we can, maybe even get rid of, well, not in this case. 'Cause I think there's already infill of sidewalk on both sides, on the north and the south.
right.
But I know future developments will be able to utilize that trail and maybe get rid of the sidewalk in the front of the properties there along Main Street and stuff. And so,
Okay.
um,
In terms of this design, I mean, it's all pretty standard. I mean, there's a curb here already, so we would obviously, we'd cut it out, but this is all fine with you guys.
and I think with that, I think we're probably gonna, I don't know if you ever, we call them pork chops around here where we basically kind of prohibit the left turn to come out from the,
From here,
from the development and stuff. So we
Okay.
kind of make sure that we put a middle median in,
where does that go?
kind of in here,
Yeah.
this area here, that kind of like you would shape it almost like a teardrop, so they could only right turn in and only right turn out. It kind of guides the car
Oh.
from keeping them from making a left.
So even though
Yeah.
left turn's not allowed.
Same things, it kind of obstructs a left turn coming from that area way as well, because they kind of would have to go around that.
Okay.
Just to facilitate the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's feasible to put a left turn over here, that would be great. Just obviously for the tenant and the operation and longevity of the project, but,
You're kind of like that there.
okay.
kind of like those, yeah.
So that'll be marked up for us to put on here.
Yes.
Is there enough room for us I mean, I know it's wide enough for two vehicles, but I don't know if I guess there would be enough room if we extended it out this way. There is this power pole here.
That's pretty wide. I mean, that's probably sorry, this is Hal Lord, the civil. It's probably 60, 70 feet across there, probably. Curb return to curb return. We were hoping to stick with a standard commercial approach and then maybe come up with a custom, the pork chops are difficult just because you're trying to prevent people from, effectively from turning left. And it's just to get that in, they end up being big. And we're just worried that we're going to sneak into the neighbor or into some easements and things like that. There's not a lot of room there
Yeah.
to do that.
And what Hal said, there's a
What?
lot of, sorry, go ahead, Al.
Yeah, right in, right out. Sorry, just kind of brainstorming out loud, trying to come up with something more effective than that large pork chop.
Mhm.
With all that, when he referenced the easements, there are a lot of easements on this property. It's obviously we wouldn't have come this far if we didn't think we could work around it. And all that said, I think it actually site plan turned out pretty nice. But there is one here that obviously our drive-through kind of goes through it. But I think Hal's worried about a couple of the easements down here. And this must be the easement for the trail. Obviously, it wouldn't go over that far, but I'm assuming that's something we'll address during plan check.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, we've done some smaller pork chops, or I've seen some like in Caltrans requires these, and like Los Banos 152 area. There's quite a few of these little pork chops, more for mom and pop centers, so to speak, where it's not a large regional one like you were showing there. It's just a bit more narrow. The only thing is that they're just not a true pork chop because could you sneak by it? You might be able to do that. I'd like to keep it as tight as we could.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the ones off if you go off to let's see, the ones, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, the skate park. If you go to the skate park, we put little small ones there. I don't remember how big those were.
Yeah, it's a little smaller, a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little smaller. So they are a little bit smaller, and I know, and I've seen some people still been able to make that left turn there.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so
It's wide enough to do it. Yeah.
yeah. And so,
The only issue, Daniel, is that we modified the fire code. And we don't do like that for entrance permits.
oh wow, 16 feet on each side.
The fire code called for 12, but everybody in the area, because equipment's getting bigger, longer, heavier, wider, all that stuff. Area fire marshals, we all modified ours to expand that where there's an island, to make it 16 feet on either side, in case we have to deploy in that area.
Okay.
Is that how's the 16 feet measured from the end, the curb?
So on the
Corner
right,
of the
on
porch.
on the right side, it'd be a 16-foot wide opening, and then on the left hand side, a 16-foot wide opening.
Okay, at a perpendicular angle.
Mhm.
Okay. So Hal, just
So if
I guess
you're 16 and 16, call the pork chop another 16, and then maybe 5 feet for wings. That's 48 plus 10. So you're at, 58 feet of frontage there, Michael, just to give you an idea.
okay.
Yeah, so it's a big number. That would require you to also move your drive aisle coming in. Right now, it's compact as a single shared 2-lane. When you widen that out, you can imagine the left-hand side closer to the trail is really where the right turn movement's going to be, and you're going to have to marry that up. If you kind of look back at the site plan, if you can envision in that bottom corner a split drive, which is what this pork chop is, as an exit on to Henderson, it's going to push that right turn out very much closer to the trail. You're going to be almost where that keynote 15 is.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
And part of our concern is there's a big slope here, which I'm sure you guys are all aware of, where it comes down. So we try to be mindful of not disturbing like the integrity of that. And then, if we opened up the need for retaining walls and everything else, I mean, the costs they start ballooning and ballooning and ballooning. So
What? Yeah, not to say this is the preferred option, but is there enough space in the road to put like a 2-foot wide concrete barrier median, just the width of the drive?
Yeah, and that was my next. I do believe we should have some space there on Henderson. But we'll get back to that. We can look at that for sure.
All right. Okay, that sounds good.
okay.
Pretty much standard comments, sidewalk, curb and gutter, and then proper standards. And I do believe everything's there.
Would
So,
storm drain going? Is this a good time to talk about
yes.
that? Okay, so we were anticipating just kind of a sheet flow out here. Is that something?
So that's something that now, of course, with the new MS4 standards, they're going to have to change a little bit more. And so we would need some little bit of calculations from the state MS4s. We usually use their spreadsheet that kind of dictates what kind of pervious concrete can be used or something on site, like some sort of like drainage swale. Once that fills up to a certain point, then it can get out into the actual our storm drain system.
Okay.
And so yeah, that's what will be part of the comments.
So the post-construction you're speaking of, it is just at the state level only. It's not you don't have one for yourself. You're just keeping the state.
No, it'll just be state level.
Okay. Just curious, do you know if this area drains to like a regional master plan basin? City basin?
It does. It does.
Okay. It's a bigger thing, but here in Fresno, we've got a local flood control district separate from the city. They manage our Clovis Fresno drainage system. So for years that we've been successful, or they have been successful in, I guess, letting the basin be the post-construction feature, so to speak, to handle the city. So as we develop in Fresno and Clovis, we don't have the post-construction requirement because the regional basin that the city is provides the ability to retain all of that water. It doesn't, the increase in shed is contained in the basin itself, and they've not gone to site-specific post-construction measures. Is that something the city would entertain?
So I know we're not there at that point yet. And I know flood control district there in Fresno, there's something else. They already got everything going out there. But here, I I do believe, I think this one goes actually into the park, if I'm not mistaken. And so, since the park is just a detention basin, that will not work.
Okay, so in terms of detention, it might spill over to like a river or something like that, or a canal.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to ask, so.
Okay.
Hal, we don't have a whole lot of room on here for
Well,
on site,
since
especially if all falls to Henderson.
yeah, so since it's only state level, and depending on what kind of soils you have out there, it is obviously a vacant site, and if it's not considered cultivated land, it's basically vacant bare land, and so the runoff factor is actually generally fairly high. We've been able at the state level, they allow you to use not just say swales and things, but you can use tree canopies and other elements to reduce the post-construction mitigation volume number. And we've been successful in using tree canopy to meet it on a couple jobs. So I would probably heavily lean to that first and see if we can get it there, and then built in a hard feature if needed.
Okay.
And there's a whole spreadsheet for that, Michael, on the state level. You just basically plug in areas, plug in tree counts, deciduous, evergreen, so forth, and it spits out the analysis for you. And then we just hand that into the agency, and it's usually worked pretty well.
Okay. Sounds good.
Good.
I do believe water and sewer are available, so I think.
So speaking of that sewer, Mr. Melvin here was telling me it's over here somewhere where we could tie in, correct?
Remember that when years ago when I bought the property, they had partially that opened up where Sierra Appliances up top there. There's a lateral that's going down the back of the property and goes to the Henderson Street.
Yeah.
And
It's in place. It's there. It's never been dug up since I've owned the property, that's for sure.
Hold it on the. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Great.
Yeah, I was going to ask if that was because that easement came up on our title report, and we didn't see any visual evidence of the pipeline, which is not uncommon, but wanted to ask the city if that is an active pipeline, if we could use it, if it was of use to us.
Okay. So how you got that noted?
Yeah, it's there. Like I said, we have an easement for it, and so my question right now is, is that an active pipeline that we can use? Does the city know that, if we can tap into that?
Yes, that is an active sewer main, and there is a manhole right there. You can't really see from this aerial, but there is a manhole just where it drops down real steep right there to Henderson.
Oh, out on the street side?
Up in the dirt area, I believe. It's been a while since I've been out there.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So as it steps down the grade past the pole, you're saying there's probably a manhole there.
Correct.
Okay. I don't think we located that. It could have been covered.
Yeah, it might be.
Okay.
It'd be to the left, right? Yeah, the other way.
Yeah.
You're saying it's in this embankment to our left?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, okay.
And then where are you able to share with us where the water tie-in would be? Is it off of Main Street? Or
Yeah, there is one off of Main Street.
so we have either option?
Yeah.
Main or Henderson? Okay. And how you could determine what the best option is going to be for water?
Yeah, we would. I mean, you have one on your frontage on the Main Street side, so I would take that. Just saves the trench repair and so forth. We'd have to look physically where it sits. It's probably somewhat in the lane, but
That's fine.
yeah.
Let's assume that one, like you said, because we already have to do curb and gutter on that side anyways.
Right.
Okay. And then power, do you right now, while we're on the topic of utilities, we put the transformer over here just when the more digging we did after we submitted this. Our dry utility consultant said this pole has way too much going on to do anything else. So he thinks we're going to put in a new pole here that's going to bring power in. And so our hope is to put the transformer, somewhere over here outside of car 2, or maybe if it fits back here, but kind of put the transformer way closer to the power source and where it's going to feed the building. I don't know, is there any?
I think just as long as we get buy off from Edison, I think we should be okay, right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just, I don't know if you guys care where the transformer is located or if there's any setback requirements with this property line. Okay. Okay.
They have setback requirements probably.
Yeah. Hal, I'm sure Hal knows or can figure out.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a neighbor with a pole for their power. And so Michael, I don't know if I've discussed with the utility consultant where that power for your building's coming from. Can you say that again? Where is it? Are they projecting it coming from? Not off the pole.
Well, the pole that with the tie down or the down guy that we kept talking about. If not that one, but it's going to feed off that one up to Keynote 9 on the very top of the site plan, out kind of between cars 2 and 3. That's where he's forecasting the new pole going.
Up in the corner. I got you.
There's a pole there right now on the screen, but it's just a data cable. So basically, we're going to replace it with power, and then we'll just put the data back on it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we'll just want the transformer over there somewhere.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
I think that's it from engineering.
No gas.
What about street work and things like that? Would that be engineering? We'll discuss the curb pattern out there, sidewalk pattern. I think we just took a guess at what the sidewalk pattern was going to be.
Yes, that'll be us.
Okay. Are we showing pretty much what you envisioned?
So I know that Main Street and Henderson are our major arterials. And I know we're not going to be changing the alignment of the existing curbs that are there now. I think most of the right-of-way take will be basically to the east. And so I don't see but like I said, we'll take a look at that a little bit closer before we send these comments out, so that way we make sure that that we get the true alignment out there.
Okay, I imagine we're just going to patch it to match. So okay. Very good.
Thank you, Daniel. Next with the fire department.
So for the fire department, the project shall comply with all the latest applicable codes. Fire hydrants shall be placed based on distance, no greater spacing than 300 feet for commercial applications, measured as a hose lays, no straight line or radius. Depending on the location of existing fire hydrants and required fire flow, additional hydrants may be required. All hydrant locations shall be approved by the fire department. Fire hydrants located across a public street shall not be utilized for calculations or considerations available to meet fire flow and/or FDC connection requirements for any project. No structure greater than 400 feet from a hydrant. The hydrants need to be in place and acceptable and functioning prior to combustible materials being brought on site. Other than that, it's basically fire extinguishers, a Knox box, address numbers posted contrasting their background, the project meeting the minimum fire flow requirements for the table in Appendix B from the 2022 California Fire Code as adopted. I haven't seen this in any Starbucks before, but it's just a general statement with restaurants. If you're going to be producing grease-laden vapors in any capacity, UL 300 compliant system. And with that, this property presents a unique issue. And so I'm going to go ahead and place a fire hydrant on the Main Street side, as well as on the Henderson Street side.
Okay.
Underserved areas, as they start to develop, that's how we get our infill in. This one proposes a unique challenge. But yeah, so it'll be 2 fire hydrants. There's water lines on both, so it'll just be direct tie-ins, and they'll be placed in the public right away.
Okay.
Is this a city water system or is this a private water system?
The city proper, is the water purveyor.
Okay. And would you allow, I know this isn't a fire question, but in terms of the connection off of Henderson, which is on the far side of the road, would you allow an open trench cut there?
Yes,
Okay.
You mentioned grease trap.
I didn't,
Okay.
I don't have that. In
That's what I didn't say.
fire department.
I thought you said grease trap.
That'll be
I'm like,
help-
why is he talking about grease
No,
trap?
I'm talking about grease laden vapors, which is if
Okay.
you're gonna have a flat top grill or a stove and you're gonna be producing grease laden vapors, you have to have the full cancel system.
They will not be.
Yeah,
Like you said.
like I said, I've never seen that, but with restaurants, I just throw that disclaimer
Standard.
because
Yeah.
I don't know how businesses change their model over time. So,
Who knows? Maybe they will be.
so, but yeah, other than that, everything else looked good as proposed, 25-foot lanes, entry and exit. We discussed a little bit if there's any pork chop or anything going in there, the 16-foot requirement for each lane on either side of that. But other than that, yeah, everything else measured out good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Next with building.
At this time, no comments from building. We will probably send this out to Interwest as a third-party review.
Okay. What was that name again?
Interwest,
Interwest. Okay.
they're out of Fresno. Well, there are a lot of towns, but the one we work with is out of Fresno.
Sure. Our centerline design, our architects on the call. Philip, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Are you familiar with Interwest?
Yes.
Okay. Building doesn't have any comments right now. I forget if there was anything you or Chris wanted to address while building's here.
No, not that I can think of.
Okay.
So I have a question. In terms of your grading package, civil package, can you describe how that will work? If it's going to be a combination with building set or will be a standalone submittal and who that would go to?
Yeah, that would be submitted all at once.
Civil and building together. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Do you know what the review times are right now for Interwest? Like what we can expect for comments?
Well, honestly, they get theirs done quicker than we usually do.
Sure.
But what we don't do is give out their comments first. We kind of wait for us to be done and give everything at once.
Okay.
Because what we've done in the past is, oh, here's that, and then it gets resubmitted, and then we haven't gave you ours, and then it gets confusing.
Sure. So you'll review it first before it goes to Interwest or vice versa?
So the building department will review it, do all the description,
Mhm.
all the main stuff. They're the ones who help us do all the deep plan review.
Mhm.
But then at the city, you still have engineering, you still have planning, you still have the fire department. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But when you do get comments, it'll be any comments from the city plus the Interwest comments all at once.
Okay. Great.
And is there any sort of cast requirement with your plans?
No.
Okay. Great. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Moving along with our field services department.
Oscar, I think we're just gonna need 3-bin enclosure for refuse service. I'll have Brianna confirm that, but that's my understanding.
Will the location work for the as proposed?
As long as we have direct stab to it, I think it's gonna work. It'll be a pretty tight area, so we need to come in there.
Maybe offsetting it here to the north.
We had a discussion last week about potentially just taking this and flipping it up here to put a 3-bin enclosure so the trash truck can come in, grab it, and then drive out.
Okay. Completely understand why you guys want to do that. That'll probably be a deal killer for Starbucks to put a big trash thing right in front of them. So is there, and I understand. I thought our thought process here was there be enough room for them to kind of.
Well, I wonder if you maybe took somewhere over here and kind of angled maybe a 3-bin in here.
Okay.
Where they could still come in here, do their stab and go out.
Sure.
That way.
Is there a way to figure out if its current location will work for the stab, or I know it looks tight, but I don't know if there's a way to kind of measure or quantify if that's going to work.
For a direct stab, it doesn't look like it. With the trash trucks, they're pretty large. They're as big as my fire truck. So I'm looking at could I turn a fire truck in there?
Oh yeah. So even if, okay.
I don't know if this area could work here.
We were just.
That's where the hill.
That's where that's slow.
Just to ask the question, is there any chance that we currently are showing a oversized trash enclosure for this one building? Because it won't have a grease component.
Still requires.
How wide is the triple bin?
28 feet plus landscaping, 3 feet landscaping on each side. And that's a state mandate.
28 feet?
The triple bin.
Triple bin.
Philip, are you aware of that? The 28-foot triple bin, 28-foot wide triple bin requirement?
No, not that I know of.
We just did one and it was this size, the last couple we've done.
The triple bin is for what? Recycle, trash, and food waste?
Yeah.
Correct.
Is that only if you're actually cooking though? If you're just prepackaged only?
Philip, is this 22-foot wide design? It's the same as the last few we've done, correct?
Yeah, this is off of Dinuba.
Yeah, I mean, we
I
just
wasn't able to find a standard online from the city of Porterville to match.
Yeah, I think this is acceptable for state, or this is everything we've been doing. Is this exact design?
And Robert was talking on behalf of Brianna. She's out today. She's the one with all the info.
Okay, we'll just revisit with her in the
We'll be
comments
able to
then, so we don't
confirm
just,
that.
okay.
And for everybody's knowledge, we will be providing each department's comments based off the project in a letter in about 2 weeks after the meeting,
Okay.
which would outline each department's review of the project and conditions.
Regardless, but they could figure that might be a better option. And then this won't be a curb here. I wonder if it's
Even if it's angled over here, if you get an angle over here, they can still kind of swing out, direct stab, grab what they need to do, back up and drive out.
Yeah. And he originally was talking up here, like you guys said, we just have to see where the slope is. So that might be the,
But right overneath it.
yeah, well, this is, yeah. Okay. All right. We'll get it figured out.
How does that work then? I'll just do in the drive-through.
So we'll have to look to see what kind of easements they are. So if they need it, if they
That
can,
utility easement and it's above.
We looked and we had an attorney go into this, and then Hal looked at it, and we just didn't want a permanent structure on it. That was the main thing we were avoiding. So we were comfortable putting the drive-through on it, even if the unlikely event down the road we had to rip it up and do some work. Yeah, rather than obviously under the building, different story.
do we know what kind of easement it is, or
There's so many on this. I don't remember. A lot
Are
of
you
them
talking
were,
about the reciprocal access easement?
no, we're talking about the easement that kind of goes through the corner of the drive-through all the way
Yeah,
down.
that is the city's sewer easement through there is what that is. I think it's in favor of city. We can pull the document and look, but it's probably just like a standard PUE where you're allowed to, pave over it and so forth, but not necessarily place trees. Sometimes that comes up that way. Depends on how old it is.
Okay.
So not a trash enclosure.
I mean, that would be, the only thing that would be on that would just be the wall.
Possibly do
If
an
you ever-
apron, but
Yeah, it
probably
wouldn't be insurmountable to get under it if you had to, in the unlikely case.
I mean, that'd be perfect. Seven.
The thing is with Starbucks, again, I mean, city regulations come first, but they want a safe path to walking to this too. So I think might make more sense here than way over here as well. So we'll talk to them, get a couple ideas, and we'll okay.
Thank you, Robert. Next with the water department, David, any other comments?
Yeah, lead-free state-approved backflow assembly will need to be installed on the domestic water service, and as well as a state-approved backflow assembly on the landscape service. That would be water's only comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then for planning, it's just complying with the Porterville Development Ordinance. Just some minor adjustments there, including a planter every 8 stalls for non-commercial, non-residential projects. For example, here on the south side, we have 10 stalls. So we would need one between those stalls and also on the north side for the development ordinance. As far as the architectural articulation of the building, it does meet our minimum standards. Other comment would be in regards to the queuing space for the drive-through facility. Looks like the menu board is here, so it will meet that minimum 6 cars for queuing space behind menu board.
Behind, like
At menu board here.
before you get to it or after? It must be after.
From
There's
here
not 6
back,
cars.
so we'll
Yeah,
count
okay.
6 cars back. So it looks like we meet that criteria here. As far as the number of parking stalls, it will require 1 per every 100 square feet of seating area, which looks like you're.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Looks like you'll meet that,
Well,
depending
actually, no,
depending on the
That's
floor
seating
area.
The seating area.
Yeah.
Reduce the,
He did there's the calc on there somewhere.
Correct,
I
I
think
saw
we
it.
had, when you said we had to put in planners, I was a little concerned it would mess with the parking requirements, but I think we were already over by like 6 or 8 stalls, if I remember.
yeah, he's got it here, 2 spaces per 100 square feet of customer seating area. So he says 13. That's right here.
Yeah, there wasn't a floor plan, so we weren't able to verify
And
the total. Would it just be outdoor seating area? It wouldn't be no interior?
No, this is gonna be a full
Okay.
cafe, so interior service and patio.
So we evaluate that with the floor plan.
the reduction in parking spaces might help accommodate that bid as well.
Yes. Well, and we could throw a couple more parking spaces here too, so, okay.
Signage complying with section 305 of the code, which is determined dependent on the linear frontage of the building facing the public street. But yeah, great design here. Not many comments from the planning department. But those are some that were one of the major comments here for this project.
Okay. Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
That is all the departments providing comments related to the project being presented. Are there any questions on behalf of the applicant or the owner at this time to the city staff?
Most everything that I had had already been answered. The one outstanding item I do want to try to get some information on is development fees and
Okay.
potential impact fees. That's always a big, X factor in these projects. So is there any information on that or?
Will that be with, engineering?
Yeah, no, we can come up with a couple of preliminary. We've done it before.
Yeah, just kind of know
Yeah.
if there's anything out of the ordinary. Obviously, there's going to be plan check fees and things of that nature, but kind of want to make sure there's no big unforeseen impact fee.
We can get this going too.
Okay, thank you. So that'll all come from engineer. All right, I think that's it on our end.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for the application. As stated previously, we'll gather each department's comments related to the project, and we'll provide it in a letter to the applicant in about 2 weeks timeframe.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And an education. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
One thing just